this scene in the rock clubs broke out and allowed me an access point to take the kind of neo honky-tonk that I was, because I never did the urban cowboy stuff. I got fired a lot.
Dwight Yoakam's story is one of triumph and mystery. By defying industry expectations and refusing to conform, he catapulted to fame. Yet just as quickly as he rose, he seemed to vanish from the spotlight. What happened to this rebellious country music figure? At the peak of his career, Yoakam was hailed by fellow artists and fans alike as a true revivalist of country music. At a time when his peers were leaning heavily into polished pop country crossovers and soft ballads, Yoakam made it his mission to return the genre to its gritty, honky-tonk roots. His dedication to authenticity even caught the attention of country legend Buck Owens. In 1987, Dwight famously showed up unannounced at Owens's office and convinced him to record a duet. That collaboration, Streets of Bakersfield, became a smash hit, a resurgence for Owens, and a cementing moment for Yoakam. But just as it seemed Dwight had claimed his place among the country greats, he faded from the public eye. After years of constant releases, headline tours, and media appearances, he seemingly disappeared. He re-emerged in 2006 at Buck Owens's funeral, but to many, he looked and acted like a completely different person. What exactly happened during his time away? Was there a catastrophic career derailment? Who was the mysterious woman he dated in the 90s? And perhaps most intriguing of all, what is Dwight Yoakam doing now? To understand the journey of this complicated artist, we have to go back to the beginning. Dwight David Yoakam was born on October 23, 1956, in Pikeville, Kentucky. He was the eldest of 3 children born to David Yoakam and Ruth Ann Tibbs. While his father was serving in the U.S. Army at the time of Dwight's birth, the family relocated to Columbus, Ohio, after his discharge. There, David found work first at Westinghouse Electric and later running a Texaco gas station. Music found Dwight early. His father, unable to learn guitar himself, passed a K-brand acoustic down to young Dwight. After breaking that one, Dwight received a new guitar for Christmas at the age of 8. He began writing songs before he even reached middle school. Raised on AM country radio and the classic records his parents played at home, Yoakam's early influences included Johnny Cash and Johnny Horton. Weekend trips to visit his maternal grandparents often turned into car ride sing-alongs that helped him develop his voice. Later, Dwight became enthralled by the rock and roll performances he saw on television, including Elvis Presley. In 1968, the family moved again within Columbus, and Dwight enrolled in a new school where he joined the band and began acting in school plays. His starring role in Flowers for Algernon gave him the confidence to perform in front of others. By his senior year, he had formed a rock band with friends that became popular for playing private parties. After high school, Dwight briefly attended Ohio State University before dropping out to pursue music full-time. His early gigs included bar shows across Ohio. At one club in Gahanna, he was approached by a man claiming to be a music executive, but it turned out to be a scam. Still, Dwight wasn't discouraged. Instead of going straight to Nashville like most aspiring country artists, he headed west, to Los Angeles. In LA, he found a thriving alternative scene where punk, rockabilly, and country could coexist. In 1982, he met guitarist and producer Pete Anderson at a bar. The two shared a deep appreciation for classic country legends like Merle Haggard and Buck Owens, and soon they began performing and recording together. Yoakam built his audience by playing in punk clubs where bands like Lone Justice and Rank and File were redefining country music. His early albums, Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc., Hillbilly Deluxe, and Buenas Noches from a Lonely Room, brought authentic honky-tonk and Bakersfield sound back into the mainstream. With Pete Anderson's sharp, twangy guitar licks backing him, Dwight sounded like no one else in the late 80s country scene. And he didn't just revive a sound, he took aim at the entire Nashville machine. He criticized MTV for refusing to play country videos and slammed Columbia Records when they dropped Johnny Cash. Even Warner Music told him to stop calling his style hillbilly music, but Dwight refused. For a while, it seemed like Dwight might win his war with the industry. But by the mid-1990s, his sales began to slip. Country music had once again shifted toward pop-friendly radio, and the establishment was increasingly cold toward Yoakam. By 1995, he seemed to be losing ground, and then he virtually disappeared. Instead of trying to cling to his fading musical momentum, Dwight pivoted. He pursued acting. His first on-screen role was minor, but it didn't take long before Hollywood started to take him seriously. He received critical praise for his villainous role in Billy Bob Thornton's Sling Blade, and followed it with appearances in The Newton Boys, The Minus Man, and others. He became known for playing dark, menacing characters, a dramatic contrast to his affable musical persona. The Sling Blade cast even won a Screen Actors Guild Award. Still, that wasn't enough. Dwight wanted control. He developed his own Western film, South of Heaven, West of Hell, writing, directing, scoring, and starring in it. But just before filming began, the project's main financial backer pulled out. Rather than cancel, Dwight self-funded the film, selling his Malibu home and pouring every dollar he had into the production. It was a disaster. He ran out of money, couldn't pay cast and crew, and was eventually sued by many of them. His production company went bankrupt. He even had to let go of Pete Anderson, his longtime musical partner, to recover financially. And worst of all, the film flopped. Both critically and commercially, South of Heaven, West of Hell was a bust. As if that weren't enough, his personal life wasn't any less turbulent. Dwight's brief, headline-making romance with Sharon Stone in the early 90s ended badly. Stone famously described kissing him as like a dirt sandwich. Later, he dated actress Karen Duffy for 2 years, and then country singer Wynonna Judd. But none of those relationships lasted. It wasn't until 2010 that Dwight met someone outside the spotlight, photographer Emily Joyce. Unlike his previous high-profile romances, Dwight and Emily kept things quiet for a full decade before marrying in 2020 during a small ceremony with fewer than 10 guests due to pandemic restrictions. Just a few months later, the couple announced the birth of their son, Dalton. Dwight was 63. Though he never officially retired, Dwight's musical output slowed in the early 2000s. But in 2012, he roared back with the album Three Peers, which was both a critical and commercial success. Since then, he's continued releasing strong, rootsy albums for his dedicated fan base, a group that spans generations and includes everyone from traditional country purists to punk rockers. He's also been busy as an entrepreneur. His frozen food brand, Bakersfield Biscuits, is available nationwide. However, not everything has been smooth behind the scenes. In 2004, Pete Anderson sued him over lost earnings, claiming Dwight canceled shows in 2002, costing him over $44,000. The case was eventually settled privately. Then, in 2021, Dwight sued Warner Music for pulling several of his songs off streaming platforms. The dispute, which centered on copyright control, was resolved in 2022, and his music returned to digital services. Despite his legacy, Dwight Yoakam has still not been inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. A shocking omission given his influence. Nashville, it seems, still holds a grudge. But Dwight doesn't appear to be bitter. Between his acting roles, music, family, and business ventures, he remains active and fulfilled. Dwight Yoakam's journey is one of rebellion, risk, and resilience. He never fit neatly into any box, not Nashville, not Hollywood. But he stayed true to himself. And though the mainstream may not always have welcomed him, he carved out a legacy that few can rival. So, are you a fan of Dwight Yoakam? What's your favorite song or album? Have you ever seen him live? Do you think he deserves to be in the Country Music Hall of Fame? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories just like this. Until next time.